Good day and welcome to Gaming with the Colonel. I'm Sean Moran. Today I'm going to do a bit of a throwback and look at Waterloo by Avalon Hill. I've got one of the old versions here. I think this is the 1962 one that I got at a flea market probably about 7 years ago for like $10 or $15 or something like that. My brothers had this game when I was growing up. Um, And since then, actually, when I got this copy, my brother happened to be in town, and we actually played, a few years back. And I like to bring it out. I like to bring it up probably once a year, just when I wanna play stuff like the old Avalon Hill stuff. Um, and what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to play some turns and just make some comments, stop and do things like that. If you want to really get an in-depth version of or look at this game, then go to Legendary Tactics. Those guys did a couple of great videos on Board Game Geek, and they do a complete playthrough using a simulation thing that was really neat. I was playing my game while I was watching theirs at the same time, which was kind of fun. And you'll hear comments from me throughout this video about these new counters that I got. I'm actually at the end of the game, that's why you're seeing this set up this way, but I just thought I'd do a pre-intro at the end of it. Yeah, and it's just one of those classic, fun, old games by Avalon Hill that I still enjoy and will will never get rid of. Okay, hope you enjoy the video. So here's the opening move of the French. I'm using these fancy new counters that I got a while back. Quatre Bras up here. Gazelles is here. Waterloo is way back there. The Prussians are here, and the Allies, the Anglo-Dutch Allies are there, and the French have moved up in force. First turn. See what happens. Okay, so I'm a couple turns in. I'm on turn 4, and at the same time I've been watching Legendary Tactics play this same game at the same time, which has been kind of fun. But what's happened is the French have been able to sort of knock the Allies off that sort of hilltop above Quatre Bras, and the Prussians actually did a counterattack over here and forced some of the French back. And I didn't really get into detail about the new counters that I got, and I'll go into some more detail about them, later on. But they are new counters with new sort of shapes on them. So I'm basically on June 17th, about to start 9 a.m. and you can see that here we are towards Waterloo, and the French are doing, I guess I would say, okay. Starting to do a little bit of a flanking here with these Prussian units, and the bulk of the Allies are sort of still in the center part of the map, and you can see all the casualties over there, both Allies and French. So these counters that I'm using were made by John Cooper. Let's see if I can zoom in on one of them. So this would be a combat strength 1, movement 6, a horse artillery unit. Hard to make out the name on it. I think it's actually Singamore or something like that, but I have been finding it hard to read them. Even the original counters, I always had a tough time reading the names, but these ones were particularly hard. I mean, they look pretty nice and fancy. I had to use magnifying glass, basically, to see if I can read them. And I've got some other counters made by him. I've got some Africa Corps ones that are for Avalon Hill that are just amazing. Like, really, really nice. But these ones are just a little small and a little tougher to look at, or read, rather. So, I don't know, we'll see if I want to use them again or go back to use the old ones next time I play this. I'm not sure. Oh, and the other thing is I've printed off some new types of rules that I'm doing, some house rules. Got these from Board Game Geek. And particularly, I'm only allowing stacks of 3 counters, as opposed to you're allowed to have 15 factors, so I decided not to do that. And if you get an elimination on an attacker or a defender, you don't eliminate the whole stack now. What I've been doing is allowing a 1 counter to be eliminated and the remainder retreat 2 hexes. Except if it's at 6 to 1 or 1 to 6, then I'm allowing it to still be a full elimination of all counters, and it's making it a little better, because sometimes you can get those deadly rolls and lose everything, right? So anyways, back to it. Okay, we're just about halfway through Waterloo. In fact, I'm about to start June 18th, 9 a.m. French turn, and you can see the Prussians have come in over here on the east, and the French have taken a fair amount of losses, but they still have a fair amount of combat strength. But the problem is that the Allies still have a lot as well. And as this game always goes, you get back to how do you keep the French from exiting towards Brussels. And I think the Allies have a good chance, because they've got a lot of forces still on the board. I played this with my brother a few years ago, and he in the end I think he won, because he was able to get just that many combat factors, and I can't remember off the top of my head what that is, but off to Brussels by the French, and you can see the massive losses that have been taken by both sides, and I just sort of chucked them over there. One other thing that I wanted to mention that I think I haven't mentioned, because I told you I was playing a few different sort of house rules or rules I got off of Board Game Geek that people added. I've decided to make it so that leaders actually have a function in this game. Well, normally they have nothing, right? They're just for show. But I decided to say, look, you have to have a leader within 6 hexes of your forces in order to move them and do combat, let's say, And I decided that Napoleon and Wellington and Blücher from the Prussians can be 10 hexes away and do the same thing. It doesn't really affect anything other than you just sort of got to move your headquarters around or your leaders around. I guess you could, if you weren't paying attention, not have them close enough. But anyways, I just decided to do it for fun, so I could actually give them a function, and it seemed to work out okay. So, there we go. Talk to you in a bit. Okay, I've decided to call it here, because I'm on June 19th, 7 a.m., and I just believe that the French have taken too many losses. Over here, this is all they've got left that's coming in from the east. And over here, I had some bad rolls. I was going aggressive because I figured I needed to pick up the pace and try to bleed some of these allies, but too many exchanges and some that sort of thing that just sort of bled Napoleon's army down. And the Prussians still have tons of forces. Over here in Waver, I actually thought I got the French to counterattack the incoming Prussians and took them down pretty good. But in fact, this is all that's left of that stack that came in. But in the end, right along the middle here, I just took a lot of losses. And again, the pile of dead is over there. So yeah. So I think I'll just call it. There's no way the French are going to win this. So this was fun, getting back to the good old days of Avalon Hill, and still not sure about the counters. I mean, they're colorful, but a little hard to read. So I don't know. We'll see what happens the next time I decide I want to play this. What I'll say about Avalon Hill and games like this is that they may be, by today's standard, they may be a little bit simplistic. There's lots of great games out there with new rules and maybe more detail, but this is a war game. It's hex and counter. You got to figure out where you're going to put your forces and get good odds and roll dice. So that's still appealing to me, anyways. And I, when I'm playing with somebody else, I usually play it so you can't check the stack. So there's some risk involved, right? And I even sort of did that too. If I wasn't paying attention, I would just go, oh, I tagged this one. Maybe I shouldn't have. Well, whatever. I'll attack it anyways and hope for the best kind of thing, right? So, anyways, I'm going to clear this up, and I think I'm going to play um, Athens and Sparta by Columbia Games, just because that's kind of what I'm feeling like right now. But hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane with Waterloo, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.